Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of this series, Scripture Twisting 101. And today's scripture that we are going to analyze comes from the book of Habakkuk, Habakkuk 3:3. And it reads, God came from Teman and the Holy One from Mount Paran. His splendor covered the heavens and the earth was full of his praise. And guys, why do our Muslim friends use this particular passage? Who would like to take a stab at it?
Our Muslim friends use this passage because there just aren't a lot of places to go. I don't so much know why they'd start going to minor prophets when what the Quran says is, well, I guess the early Muslim community didn't know much about what was included in the Torah, because if you look, when they would be asked, when the early Muslim community would be asked, where's Muhammad prophesied? In the Torah, they would start talking about Isaiah and everything else. So they didn't seem to have a clear concept of what the Torah was, but according to Islam, according to chapter 7, verse 157 of the Quran, the Bible, the Torah and the Gospel contain prophecies about Muhammad that you can read and see this is about Muhammad. Now, this verse shows you how desperate Muslim apologists are. And if I were to hear a Christian say, oh, this is what Muslim apologists say, I would want to know which Muslim apologist says this, because it specifically says God in the verse, right? So let me quote Dr. Jamal Badawi, Muslim apologist, very popular Muslim apologist, used to debate. He claims Habakkuk 3:3 speaks of God, parentheses, God's help. So when it says God, it's really God's help, right? So when it says God is coming, then it's actually referring to God's help coming, and so God's help may be coming in different ways, i.e. through sending a prophet.
Right.
Habakkuk 3:3 speaks of God's help, coming from Teman, an oasis north of Medina, according to the J. Hastings Dictionary of the Bible, yes, and the Holy One coming from Paran. That Holy One, who under persecution migrated from Paran, i.e. Mecca, he's identifying Paran as Mecca, yes, to be received enthusiastically in Medina, was none but Prophet Muhammad.
That's right,
none but Prophet Muhammad. Now, this one's actually pretty straightforward. Just read what the text says, and you tell me if this is talking about Muhammad, or if it's not just referring to God's help, it's actually referring to God. So we'll start at verse 1, something Dr. Badawi has trouble doing. Habakkuk chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet, according to Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard the report of you, and your work, O Lord, do I fear. In the midst of the years, revive it. In the midst of the years, make it known. In wrath, remember mercy. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. His splendor covered the heavens. Did Muhammad's splendor cover the heavens? I guess there are Muslims who would say that.
I didn't know that help has splendor also.
Yeah. And the earth was full of his praise. His brightness was like the light. Rays flashed from his hand, and there he veiled his power. Before him went pestilence, and plague followed at his heels. You can go on, and
exactly,
there is no way this is talking about a merely human prophet.
No.
And if this were, then you'd have to say, Habakkuk is so unclear in his language that you can't possibly make sense of anything he says, right? If I can say, God came from there, and you say, oh, that's talking about a prophet, what in the name of common sense are you talking about, right? Yeah. I mean, imagine, because this is a real problem. In Islam, if you're taking this as a prophecy, then you're affirming this guy as a prophet. You're affirming this guy as a prophet. If you're affirming him as a Muslim prophet, then you're telling me that, like Muhammad, he's going to be very clear when it comes to matters of shirk, or associating partners with God. And if that's the case, then when this man is talking about God, he's going to make it very clear that he's talking about God. And when he's talking about a prophet to come, he's going to make it very clear that he's talking about a prophet to come. Right. So simply to say, take a passage where it's clearly talking about God, and then to say, oh, it uses the word Paran, and therefore it's talking about Mecca, and therefore it's talking about Muhammad. This is such a stretch, and we mentioned this in the discussion on Deuteronomy 33.
Right,
Paran is referred to over and over again in the context
That's not
of the Exodus. So I'll just read 2 or 3 of these. But Numbers 10:12. And the sons of Israel set out on their journeys from the wilderness of Sinai. Then the cloud settled down in the wilderness of Paran. This is a place that they're familiar with. 12:16. Afterward, however, the people moved out of Hazeroth and camped in the wilderness of Paran. Numbers 13:3. So Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran at the command of the Lord, all of them men who were heads of the sons of Israel. And God is going through this place in a pillar of cloud. So it's actually God who's coming through here. And when Habakkuk says God came, right? It's very clear what the Old Testament thinking is along these lines, and it's not referring to some prophet in the future. So the fact that they would have to appeal to this text, appeal to Habakkuk 3:3, shows you that you just have no basis whatsoever for your
but
claim.
it gets worse because in the quote by Badawi, he says that according to J. Hastings' Dictionary of the Bible, Timan is an oasis north of Medina. That's not what it says. He confused the entry of Timan with Tima. Here's what it actually says. Here is the citation from the Dictionary of the Bible, Timan, page 897. 897 of J. Hastings' Dictionary of the Bible, Timan, a tribe and district of Edom. The Edomites settled in Syria. What Badawi confused Timan with Tima.
Yeah.
Tima here, same page. Here, Tima, in Genesis 25:15, 1 Chronicles 7:30, a son of Ishmael. The country and people meant are still represented by the same name, modern Taima, a large oasis about 200 miles southeast of the head of the Gulf of Aqaba, and the same distance due north of Medina in West Arabia. So Hastings' Dictionary of the Bible wasn't talking about Timan, it was talking about Tima. How did Badawi make this slip or confusion? I'm going to, give him the benefit of doubt for the sake of being charitable. He misread it, but I could see why he would want.
So best case scenario, he's extremely sloppy.
Sloppy.
Okay.
That's right.
That's best case.
Yes, base, yeah.
Tima is
The alternative is he's deliberately deceiving people. Good.
Tima is
And
T-I,
I lean towards
right?
the second, right? That he's deliberate.
T-I.
Tima is what is the oasis
Right.
near North Medina.
T-I-M.
Tema, which is Taima,
Okay.
not Timan. Habakkuk doesn't mention Tima. He mentions Timan, and that entry says Timan, a tribe of Edom. Edom, that's another name of Esau. It's referring to the Edomites, the sons of Esau, who settled in the area of Syria. So this has nothing to do with an oasis north of Medina, but Badawi wants to make the connection to further solidify that Paran and Timan, it's referring to Mecca and Medina, and it's got to be Muhammad. So
And just to verify that, as far as the location of what the prophets are using as Timan, Jeremiah 49:7, concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Timan. Right. So
Notice the connection with Edom.
Yeah. So it's there. So he's connecting. He's not talking about something a long way away in Medina. So
could it be he was sloppy? Or did he really want to make Timan to be equivalent to Tima to connect it to Medina?
You mean he
I don't know.
corrupted the scripture? Wow,
Really?
that's amazing.
Interesting.
I don't know, but I mean, think about this. These are top-level Muslim apologists who are this incredibly sloppy with the text, and who have to be this sloppy because if you're careful, you wouldn't make these kind of blunders, and you wouldn't have anything supporting Muhammad.
Yeah. Well, everybody, I hope now you know why we're doing what we're doing, and now I hope you know why you should come to our sites so you learn how to refute these ridiculous arguments by the self-proclaimed apologists. And until we meet again, have a blessed day. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss future videos. And please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Sierra International.